Hello, I'm Janna, and welcome back to the Crafty Corner. This is day 3 of Spooktacular Crafts and Makes. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Tim Holtz Halloween curio class. Now, definitely attending the class, and we're going to do a little preview of the box, but then after, I am suspecting we're going to have some leftovers from class. So in this video, we're going to see what we can do with our fantastic class leftovers. If you'd like to see exactly which supplies we're going to be using, go ahead and pause here. All right, let's head over to the Crafty Corner. What a fantastic class. I had so much fun making the curio cabinet. Now, if you've attended the class and finished your cabinet, you probably have some leftovers. So this is what I have left over from the class. Let's just take a quick look and see what there was. So leftover wise, I've got some metal pieces, a couple of extra books that I made, a few candy pieces, a skull, that's from my stash. So honestly, I think we used a really good chunk of what was provided. And we also have a whole bunch of ephemera and transparencies, lots of glitter left. So you've probably got these pieces or similar pieces like this left over. So the question is, what to do with them? Well, I thought we would make a fun, spooky shaker card. Those transparencies just scream shaker to me, so I thought that would be fun. And of course, we're going to be incorporating the collage element that we learned in class. So we're taking some of the ideas and then we're turning them into a whole nother project. All right, well, let's just put these little odds and ends back into the bin. Not sure if I'll use any of those for the shaker card, but I have them around in case they spark an idea. I also had some of the little moss left over as well. Definitely using that on a future Idea-ology project. Okay, so just clearing some space. Now, I have a card base left over from another Simon Says stamp kit, and I thought that would be a good place for us to put our collage on. So, we're going to work this in a couple of parts. Part 1, we're going to work on our foundation. So, I have some leftover book paper, and that's going to become the front part of our card. I actually ended up having to find one of my old books in order to salvage some pages out of it. This turned out to be the selected bibliography of an old music book, which I'm never going to use the bibliography part of, so it wasn't too painful ripping out a few pages, but I've got that. And I think we're going to attach that with some ATG tape. We don't need seriously heavy-duty adhesive here. And then we're going to collage on this side of the card. So just a little bit of tape going around the perimeter, just like that. There we go. I'm definitely thinking in the future I'm going to want to hit a few library sales and try to find some very out-of-date encyclopedias. I don't think I would feel too guilty about chopping those up, but as an avid book collector, chopping up books is kind of painful to me. As long as it's something that I feel pretty secure that's like out of date and not really relevant anymore, I don't think I'll mind using that for art purposes. But I can tell you it was quite the struggle trying to find a single book in my stash that I was willing to cut into. All right, so we have that. Now let's get some things going on this side. I'm just going to grab my tube of collage medium. I do find this a bit easier to work with than the jar. I like the jar. Great for large collage projects, but I still find I have a lot more control with the bottles. Okay, so just scribbling some glue down, and we're just going to, just like Tim said, not overthink and just place things down. I'm going for large pieces first, and then we can alternate with some smaller things. But the main thing right now is to get our real estate covered. And we've got all sorts of options. And then we can go back in with some other pieces and tidy things up. So I like the idea of just going in with large pieces first. It definitely makes the most sense because you want to cover as much area as you can. That's going to be the most ideal thing when trying to start a collage. I know I definitely do overthink things on occasion because maybe I'm trying to go for a certain color theme, or maybe I've already got a pre-constructed idea in my head. With collage, I found I really have to let those expectations go and just go with the flow, because finding that exact right piece of ephemera is honestly slim to none. I'm definitely a digger, and I keep my stuff in an open bin and sometimes in a distress tin. And the chances of me finding what I actually want aren't very good. So kind of just going impulsively and grabbing things as they pop up seems to work pretty well. And then I can add back in those favorite pieces that I might come across as I am digging. So it all does work out in the end. Okay, there we go. Oh, these pieces were definitely ones that I want to come back to and use. Sometimes I'll just set stuff aside thinking like I absolutely have to use this for a certain part of a project, because there's certain little ephemera bits that really just make me happy. Like I love the crows. Those are ones that make me very happy. And then like I have to use these, so I'm setting those aside. Definitely want to bring in another blackbird. Oh, the owl might be overkill, but I really do love the owl. Okay, now I just need something for this corner. All right, this will work. A little bit more glue. Put that down. There we go. And all that overlapping is working out really well. I did try the thing with the paper towel to smooth things out, but honestly, I don't have a lot of pieces that have ever really bubbled and rippled on me before. So I've kind of slipped over that step. I'm wondering if that's more of a thing if you're in an area where your collage medium is going to dry a lot faster. I know in Quebec we're kind of in a humid area, so maybe that whole rippling thing isn't as big an issue around here. There we go. So just smushing that right in, making sure everything is sticking down. That looks great. Okay. Now we're going to start adding in these smaller pieces and making sure that we're smoothing everything down. Okay. I've already got a good foundation. That makes me really happy. And if we get a mess on the mat, that is okay. All right, so now we're going to start putting things in. I'm even going to do some wonky angles. Normally I'm not into the wonky angles, but that playing card deserves some wonkiness. It's just fun. Okay, and then I'm going to use that. That's going to be one of my anchor pieces. There we go. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, I've got some of the flowers. Why not? Let's add that in. Okay, pretty good. Let's see here. Any other pieces that I absolutely have to add? Yes, the 31. The 31 is one I was saving. Good. Okay, and stick that poison right here. I really want to include the eye, but where would it go? Maybe there. Let's put that, you know what? Put that at an angle there, tuck the eye underneath over here. Okay, not bad. Oh, that slid. Let's just put that right back in place. Okay, and smooth that down. And the last thing I want is the crow. We're going to tuck him right under that floral. There we go. And now we're just going to finish that off by rubbing in that last layer of collage medium. Now this trick I had totally forgotten about. I am 95% certain I've heard about the rubbing over the top to kind of burnish things and hold things in place, but like rubbing the collage medium until it gets a little bit tacky. I'm pretty certain I've heard that tip before from Tim, but honestly I totally forgot about it. And that is such a good one to have in the back of your mind when finishing off a piece. I love it when things have a finished look to them, and just having that reminder was really good. And now I'll be sure to use that every time I want to collage. There we go. So now just taking that finger, rubbing all that extra medium in until things get just a little bit grippy. Probably have a little bit more glue on here than I really need, but we want that surface there because it wants to become a slip and slide for the distress crayon that we're going to be adding in after. Okay, so that is pretty good. I'm just going to set this aside. It won't take that long to dry, and we're going to work on one of the main focal points for the shaker part of this card. Ooh, you know what? I have to add that little blue piece in here. There we go. Okay. Now I'm very happy with this. All right, let's set that aside. I'm going to quickly clean off my hands. I do not like the feeling of the collage medium building up on my fingers. Okay, so we have this really nice little portrait piece here, and I'm going to add just a little bit of color to her. I think we're going to use a combination of distress pencils. Yeah, I think I want distress pencils. And then we're actually going to cut out around her because then we'll be able to see more shaker element behind her. So the first color that I pulled in was some dried marigold. I'm just coloring in her face and hands. That's good. And you know what? I do want a distress crayon. I want a little bit of Frosty Mint. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this down. I'm going to smudge it because I want her to kind of have a little bit of a ghostly and ethereal look to her. There we go. That'll be interesting. And it won't matter if I'm outside the lines much because we're going to be cutting her out of this background. All right, let's smudge that out the best we can. Yep, I love the shimmer with the mica crayon. It definitely adds something ghostly to this little picture. And this is definitely one of my favorite pieces of ephemera. I always try to save this one for something special each year. I think it's been in the pack about 3 years in a row, and I really, really like this one. Okay. Well, I think we're good. Now I'm going to pull in my tonic snips, and we're going to cut around her. So just like that, a little bit of fussy cutting. Okay, almost done. Okay. That's what I was looking for, and now we're going to add some of those transparent wings to her. Take that, add that right here. There we go. So now she's a little bit more demonic. Thought that would be fun. Okay. That is good. Now, the next thing that I want to do is work on the shaker part of the card. So we still have a really big backdrop here, and this is going to become the outer frame of our shaker card window. Now, we're going to be grabbing a craft knife and a ruler. Actually, I'm not sure I need the craft knife. Maybe not. Definitely need the ruler, though, because we're going to kind of measure to the nearest-ish around the frame, because I want to cut the inside of the frame out. So I can use the mat, and I'm going to leave a 1/2 inch all the way around. And we'll just rotate this. I'm using the Tim Holtz ruler that is supposed to work with the craft mat. It doesn't have markings on it, but you know what? Your mat has markings, so it is pretty easy to do some quick measurements. All right, so 1/2 inch all around. One more side. Okay. Good. So yeah, you could use a craft knife, but honestly I can just jab right through that and cut. The main thing right now is that we want a frame, because that's going to be our window into the shakey-shake. Okay, almost done. Last side. Okay, so here is our frame. Next, we're going to want the transparency that's going to go with the frame and our focal point. So we're going to flip this over, and I'm going to add just a little bit of collage medium to the base of this. And she's going to be hanging out right here. Good. Now, I just want to flip this back over, just double check. Yes, that's looking good. Trying to have her as centered as possible. Okay, and now this is where we're going to switch adhesives. I'm going to be switching over to the glossy accents. And I'm also going to quickly measure the frame. So our frame is coming in at 4.5 by 3.5. So at 4.5 by 3.5, I'm going to pull in the Tiny Tonic trimmer, and we're going to trim down this awesome spiderweb acetate. So that we'll have our shaker piece. Okay, and now by 4. All right, and now this is where the glossy accents come in. So we're going to take our glossy accents and we're going to run a very thin bead around the frame, and I want to add a few dots on our main image. Okay, so think we'll add our dots here. This is just so things will stay in place. Okay, and a generous line all the way around. So far, so good. Now we'll take that acetate and place that down. Okay, there we go. Not bad. I like that I don't have anything hanging off the edges and everything seems to be lined up. All right, that's gonna take a moment or two to dry, but nice thing about glossy accents, it really doesn't take that long. But while we wait, we can add our moat. So I have some leftovers from the Stamptember class. So I thought we could use these foam pieces for our shaker. Okay, I'm just gonna put that down. Making sure that everything is touching, that way the pieces won't float away on us. Have to give that a little snip. And we'll start over this way. Good. Looks like we're going to have just enough foam. Perfect. That makes me very happy. Great. So we have that. Now we're going to want some distress glitter. Now this part you don't need to do, but I just thought it would add a little bit more of a ghostly element if we did 2 colors of glitter. So I've got some of my chunky glitter in its lovely case, pre-colored, and I thought we'd add a little dash of that as well. But this part, don't really need to, but if you have the chunky, it would create more contrast, but just with standard distress glitter or mica flakes, you could come up with something really cool. So we're going to pour a generous amount of the distress glitter in. And now we're going to scoop a little bit of our pre-made mix. Perfect. All right. Close that back up. No glitter accidents. And now we're going to want to be ready to attach this to the card base. This part I definitely think is going to be the hardest because we have to move very carefully when attaching it. A little nervous about that, but we'll make it work. All right, glitter secured. Put that down. Actually, wait a minute. I kind of want to add another layer, but I don't know. I guess we're just going to go right in and attach it. Okay. Because this will have to come down on that like this. Oh boy. Okay, we can do this. Really, I probably should have done this in reverse, but you know what? We're going to live dangerously. So we're going to take off the sticker backing. And then we're going to have to place this. It's a little scary because we really only get one shot to make it work. Oh, that's weird. I had a little extra piece of adhesive here. Huh. Okay. All right. And moving around, peeling up this side. Good. And you know what? Even better, I used up some leftovers. Using up leftovers is definitely a good feeling, and it's really nice when that can happen. Okay. So, gonna kind of work blind. Let's see here. How much space do we have? Might be able to kind of use these as a guideline. All right, so okay. I think we've got it. All right, this is either great or we're slightly crooked. Not terrible. I kind of like that it's not quite centered. I think I can add something along the side now. Okay, so just pressing that down to make sure that is secure. Giving that a little shake. Ooh, magical. Like that. Okay, so that is on. It is actually relatively straight. Even if we're shifted a little bit this way, I think I can add something of interest going up along here and there. Let's see what I have. I've got some really thin strips. Ooh, this could be interesting. Yeah, I think I want to do that. That would be cool. All right, we've got an idea. So, we'll want collage medium. And we're just going to run a line right down that. Yeah, I like that. Not everything has to be absolutely centered. And we're just going with the flow. That also is going to give me a good landing space for something else. Okay, so we have that. Trim that off. And we'll do another strip going down this way. Great. Good. I think that works. And we'll open that and snip. Great. So now I want to finish this off with some interesting embellishments on here. So let's see, what have I got? Oh, I've got this 31. I like that. And what else? Kind of like the idea of adding that little charm. Just put that as beware. Yeah, that works. I kind of want to add something else. Oh, I like that. That works. Well, I am thinking that part might end up being done because I still need to do some distress crayon on the back, but I'm really happy with the front of this. But I still kind of want a larger sentiment. So I'm just looking at what my options are. We've got bewitched, beware, ghostly. If I did ghostly. No, I don't like that as much. I like that better. Yeah, I really want something else in the other corner, but what? Maybe a moth. Yeah, a moth would work. Why not? We've got moths around here. There we go. Now that feels more balanced to me. Okay. But you know what? Before I get to gluing heavier pieces, let's flip this over and take a look at the side that we need to add the distress crayon to. All right, on the back, we're going to add just a little bit of rusty hinge. And just like we were shown with the curio box, we're running along the edges of the ephemera pieces and then smushing that in. There we go. And we can always wipe off extra after if we end up with a bit too much of that color. And I'll probably need to do that. But I thought the orange would look good. So just doing a line, then smushing it in. Yeah, I really do like the orange. The orange pops quite a bit, which is very nice. So just drawing the line and then smushing it down. You know what? Along the edge too, why not? There we go. It's definitely giving it an interesting look. I do like that. Pretty good. It's definitely interesting the way this is turning out. And I love the rusty hinge. It's definitely giving it a really different look than using the pumice stone. And I do love trying different color combinations. You never know what you're going to find and what is going to work for you. Very fun. Okay. Now I just need a little bit of paper towel. I'm going to rub off the excess here. Okay, got a little piece, little spray, and now just a little bit of cleanup. So just going in circles and cleaning off the bits and pieces that I don't need orangish. It's going to need a little bit more water. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I think this is working out really well. Good. Okay, I think our cleanup is good. I like what we see, and that works. All right, and let's just flip this back over. Now let's put our finishing touches on here. I've got that 31 that I want up in the corner. So we'll just take that, a little bit of glue, stick it down. I've got the bird. It's going to go on the bottom corner. That's good. Yeah, maybe that's like her crow familiar. I like it. This card is actually kind of telling a bit of a story, which is cool. Normally my things don't usually tell direct stories, but I think this one, it's definitely developing one on their own. A little moth in the corner. Maybe that's like a little messenger moth. And then we've got Beware. All right, not bad. And I would call this card done. Thank you so much for joining me here today at the Crafty Corner for a little bit of Class Continued. Today we've been featuring the leftovers from the Curio Tim Holtz class, and this is what we came up with. Today we made a distressed shaker card featuring our distress glitter and using up all sorts of elements from the class. We have a little word tag. It's one of the metal adornments. We used some of our transparency seen in the bat wings and spider web. We also got a chance to use up our distress glitter, part of our shaker card, and lots of the Halloween ephemera. My stash is definitely considerably smaller now since we used lots on this card. Let's flip the card over and take a look at the back while we're at it. On the back, we had some fun with Halloween collage. We used lots of the techniques seen today in the Curio class for collaging, and we substituted the pumice stone distress crayon for some rusty hinge to outline our ephemera pieces. Thank you so much for joining me here today at the Crafty Corner for some card making fun. And until next time, happy crafting!